Hello everybody, this is Havoc, and with yesterday's big reveal on the new Rome 2 DLC, as well as the rather large update to the base game, I wanted to give a rundown on both of them. I'll cover the Rome 2 DLC in the next video, rather focusing on the power and politics update and peeling back the layers that have been added into the Rome 2's base game, as well as all the previous DLC excluding Caesar and Gaul, which apparently had its own political system. I don't quite remember, it was a very long time ago. So anyways, what does the power and politics update entail? CA provided a patch notes list going over the update, and it is indeed quite extensive. I'm going to give a basic rundown and kind of my thoughts and opinions on everything, and we'll see how this goes. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the political screen. I am actually in-game. I was able to do a stream yesterday using the new beta update. This politics system is in beta form, and so you can go ahead and play it as it sits right now. Full release will be, of course, on November 30th with the release of the DLC. So basically, each political party in your empire will have two main properties. You have influence and you have loyalty. The influence system is carried over from the old base game, and loyalty shows how satisfied. So for instance, the House of Cornelia, here we go. This is a rival house. As you see right here, we have the House of Julia, which is my current house. We have the House of Cornelia, we have the House of Junia, and we have the House of Papiria. The House of Cornelia, they have the loyalty breakdown is currently at 0, and it kind of balances out. It's actually pretty perfect. And as you can see, difficulty level, Imperium level decides that if the leader has died in battle, which affects that, and then government type, which we'll get down into a little bit. And militarist actually gives us a pretty good public order boost, apparently, +2 loyalty for 5 turns. So these are the two deciding factors, and this is loyalty to your faction, basically. So what will happen here? Loyalty increases and decreases as a result of political actions, and from campaign actions, from military actions. As you saw there in the House of Cornelia, they lost loyalty because their leader died in battle. Things like that will decrease loyalty. If you have a general from the House of Cornelia that never gets used, they're going to take offense to that, and they're going to lose that loyalty. If you use that general a lot, they will obviously gain more loyalty towards your cause. And then influence is, of course, the breakdown on how influential in the overall government overview and the government system, how influential they are. Now, low loyalty, extremely low loyalty, as you'll see here. I don't know at what point it is at the breaking point, but as you see here, risk of secession. So civil wars have been reworked as well. This we'll go over that in a little more detail, but now they're kind of labeled as secessions. And basically, if a house within your faction, and I also want to mention that this is across all of the culture types, that if a party in the government gets too disloyal, they will break off and form their own faction. So it is something you will want to juggle, and you'll want to kind of play along with the trait system. We'll get into that in just a minute. So each political party will control a number of provinces, and so we're going to go out to here, and we're going to go into our overview. And so what we got here, let's get over to the political party affiliation. So as mentioned, this is my current campaign. I hold almost all of Magna Graecia barring Syracuse, but as you'll see here, we have different color-coded systems in here. I have Italia, which is currently owned by the House of Julia, which is mine. We have Magna Graecia is currently under the House of Junia, and Corsica and Sardinia is under the House of Cornelia. And eventually, once I expand enough, the House of Papiria will also join in. This is a new thing, which kind of brings back the old Rome 1 system, except for the fact that they aren't completely separate factions. They are simply political parties within your own faction, within the faction of Rome. So what we have here, as your empire expands, depending on the influence of the parties, and depending on a certain algorithm, your houses will slowly fill up each individual province that you will own. So eventually, what will happen is you will have clumps of territories. Now, they did say the algorithm tries to keep things together. As you see, House of Cornelia has all of Corsica and Sardinia. The House of Junia is going to take all of Magna Graecia. And we can only assume that if we went into Alpine Gaul, that Italia would take that over. But who knows? Maybe Papiria would. So basically, what this boils down to is you have these territories, and you have these clumps of territories owned by the houses. If this house gets too powerful or too disloyal, there is that chance for a secession. As we saw there, we have a very low opinion in one of the parties. So if that were instance, if that is the House of Junia, if they were to break off, they would get all of the territories that are underneath the political party of the House of Junia. Now, there's ways you can kind of counteract this. You can make sure that the armies inside of those territories are owned or are loyal to you, to the House of Julia, so that way when the secession happens, those armies don't defect. Otherwise, what you will have is you will have loyal generals loyal to that party. Once they break off, they will join that party, and then you're kind of screwed. So another way that you could kind of ensure that that never happens is to simply, if a political party starts becoming disloyal to a point where they might secede, you can send those generals, you can either remove them from power, or you can send them to a far-off land. You can send them to Illyria, Thracia. You can make them go all the way to Asia just to get them out of that province. So whenever they do defect, when those armies defect, they don't get in there very easily. And then the areas of influence can be seen as, I mean, this is a really good UI update as well. There's going to be several of those. We're going to go back into the political system, though, because this is where it gets really, really interesting. We now have new trait system. We have party leaders, we have important characters, and we have traits. So every house gets a new set of party traits. 2 of these are randomly generated, and 1 of these are generated by its leader. So as you can see here, party traits, the House of Cornelia hates Easterners. They're a patriot. -5 loyalty from every enemy army present on the player's territory, but they are militaristic, and that is, of course, that leader's faction trait. Now, they're always not positive, as you can see down here, the House of Papiria, where it is that patriot trait, where they would lose loyalty for every enemy army, which is an interesting thing to look at, actually, now that I'm actually looking at all this. So each house, each party has its own political leader, and eventually what you would see, let's see, in the character perhaps, I don't quite know where it is, you would eventually get a secessionist, you would get a heir. So if the House of Julia, if this faction leader died, the potential for the House of Cornelia, if it has that secession right there, the House of Cornelia could be the new leader of Rome, which is very, very interesting. So now that they have a leader, they have 2 loyalty traits and 1 from the leader. And then each political characters, all political characters, have an additional political trait that takes effect only if they become the leader of their party. So that's what these guys are. I mean, that's just basically what it is. And as you can see here, let's see, I can't even see my own political guy here, because he gets a special trait as well. Here we go. So these are the traits. He gets the head of the faction gets its own special trait. I don't remember if this is randomized or not, but basically this guy, he is a dictator, so he gets a special trait for being the head of the entire faction. +3 public order, gravitas, minus upkeep in his army, and then 15% tax rate on his own government. Pretty cool, and you can kind of mess around. You can just see what's going to go on here. You can see how influential they are. You can see what you want to do. So for instance, if we really wanted to work on the House of Papiria, if we wanted to increase their loyalty, pacifist, -5 loyalty per faction you're in a war with. So if we really wanted to help them out, we would go at peace, and we would bring them back. These guys are xenophobes, which means for each faction which you have established diplomatic treaties, you get -2 loyalty, and then a patriot. So you want to keep armies out of your lands. You want to not be associated with any other factions, and you want to be at peace if you want to appease the House of Papiria. Now again, at this point in time, Papiria doesn't have any lands, so even if they were to secede, I really don't know what would happen. And then of course you can always secure loyalty by using gold. That's just always a pretty simple thing. Also, something that has changed, your leader, your faction leader, no longer has the secure promotion ability, because it doesn't make sense for someone who is a leader of the entire faction to have that trait. And so yeah, lots of really, really positive things going on here. We do have new government types as well. Let's see, where is the government? Here we go. So currently, as Rome, we are playing as a republic. Power belongs to the people. There are 4 government types. There is a kingdom, there is a league or a union, depending on your culture. There's the republic, and there is the empire. Each of these come with their own benefits, and etc., etc. So for instance, as a republic, we get civil research rate, but we get -10 loyalty for all political parties, but we get +15 order per turn. In order to become an empire, we need to reach Imperium level 5, 65% influence of the ruling party, and to have positive loyalty and no government reforms. If we transition over to the empire, as you'll see down here, -30 public order faction-wide, decaying by 3 per turn, and then -30 loyalty. So transitioning into the empire is going to be very hard, but you see here we have some positives. +1 to the number of edicts, research rate, loyalty for all political parties, and then 1 recruitment across all provinces. So to come to the empire would really, really boost your ability to take over these houses, really giving you some positives. And it'd be interesting to see the benefits of kingdoms and leagues. There's a lot of UI and UX things that have been implemented. I'm not going to go over them. We've seen some of them, like for instance, the important characters having the ability to hire statesmen, just a lot of the UIs in there. What they are considering also UI things, which I agree, is the political parties thing. The map is a little different. Also, just seeing it will stay in the last tab that you were in, which I think is pretty useful. You can definitely see that. And then simply another rounds of bugs and fixes, support for 4K, UI scaling, things of that nature. So a lot of stuff, a lot of content to be put in here for the update. Now again, that update is available right now in beta form. Its full release will come in on November 30th with the release of the game, but I can definitely see how this will increase your campaign, bring a lot of really solid depth. We now have a lot more things to worry about and manage in your empire, rather than just simply balancing your parties. There's a lot more influential things that can go on here. Another thing that I want to mention in terms of UI, let me get to my general. This is actually perfect. Here we go. So this is another UI UX thing that I really like that's come with the update. Whereas in the past, you would simply choose one of these 3 guys, and then you wouldn't know until the next level what you could pick. We now have a kind of skill tree similar to Warhammer, but definitely in its own unique way, where we could go down and we see what we have access to. I think it goes to strategist, and then you pick one of these 2, and then you have access to any of these. I do believe that works. I have a stronger general. I think he is over here. Yes, as you can see, we've kind of gone down that route. No, we don't want to replace him. So yeah, there's a lot of really positive things that this update is bringing. It is adding a lot of depth to Rome 2, and while we are missing the family trees, which we are not getting, very sad, I think the political system that they've implemented in this game is absolutely crucial, and I think will really change Rome 2 and really shape it up. It's also really encouraging that they are going to these older games and they are updating them to certain things, because that gives me hope that maybe they'll fix some things in Attila, or maybe they'll bring it up to 64-bit with the new Saga update, things like that. And they may even bring Rome 2 into a 64-bit with the new DLC. I guess we'll see here in the near future. But guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions on what you think about the political system. There's so many things we can do now with it that I think it's really interesting, and I think it's a really positive change, and it's really good to know that CA is willing to go back in time to work on this kind of stuff. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, guys. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Be on the lookout for the Rome 2 DLC video, which will be coming up after this one, where I go over all of the things that are on the Steam page, as well as some potential history that goes back into it, as well as my impressions on what the DLC could do to Rome 2. Anyways, this is Havoc, and I'm out of here. Peace!